Welcome, everyone, to In Other Worlds, the Lit RPG, Gamelit, and Fantasy podcast. I am your host, Jess. Before we dive in, if you want the longer, unedited version of today's episode and a chance to submit questions for future episodes, you can find that on my Patreon. I will go into more on that at the end. Today, we are joined by Mikel Melwasul, author of Paragon Exordium. Michael, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am fantastic. Do you go by Michael or Mick?
I go by Mick, but not many people ask, so I go by Michael a lot. Or Mickle.
We can do Mick. Mick is totally cool.
Mick is my default.
Okay, Mick it is. You have Paragon Exordium.
Mhm.
You have another shorter story in the same universe that is getting ready to come out soon and are working on book 2, I believe.
Paragon Apocrypha is a collection of short stories in the same universe and is
Ah,
already out. That came out in July. And then Paragon Attrition Book 2 comes out this year.
nice. So give us a little bit of a rundown on Paragon Exordium, which I'm sure you
Right,
do
so
a million times.
Elves on a tank. What more can I say? Basically, it is a reverse portal fantasy. So in traditional portal fantasy or Isekai, someone goes to a magical realm from our realm. In Paragon Exordium, the magical realm gets dropped on our world, and our Earth is merged with this magical realm from mystery times long ago, and humanity is almost wiped from the face of existence and is now trying to survive in a world that is now dominated by magic and monsters and fae and anything in the realm of fantasy you can imagine.
So it's like a reverse isekai.
Yeah, it's very much a reverse
They're
isekai.
they're
Yeah,
brought here.
yeah.
So you co-wrote the story with David, who cannot be here. So I've seen some other interviews that you have done, and so I know he started off as kind of like an alpha reader for you /
hmm
editor. How did that relationship kind of evolve into the co-author relationship that it is today, and kind of how do you guys break down the roles of who does what?
It's hard to explain how it evolved because it really evolved is really the right word for it. Because it just kind of happened to progress in a very natural way. Because like I brought him on as an alpha reader because I wanted someone with military experience. He had an English degree. He was a good friend of mine from college. So I knew he would tell me if I was wasting my time, which was a major concern in the early drafts. And so it was initially he was just the editor. And as we kept having meetings after meetings after meetings where I'm filling him in on the story and stuff. And so he just evolved from developmental editor to being just a partner in the whole process. And so book 1 says Mikel Melwasul, which is my pen name. But going forward from book 2, we've added a D, so it's Mikel D. Melwasul because his role in it has increased so much. So he's been so formative in all the character creation and the story arcs. And I'll say this, and he'll be like, "Well, does that work?" Or "No, that's dumb." Or it's not just editing; it's helping develop the story to a stronger degree and writing entire sections and
Nice.
writing entire POVs and writing entire chapters. So he's taken on much more of a involved role than that. He even wrote a number of the short stories in our collection, and then I edited them for him, and we had like a complete reversal. And he's working on a short of horror novella spinoff as
Ooh.
well.
That sounds nice. So, Mikel D. Melwasul is your pen name. How
Mhm.
did you come up with that pen name?
Yeah, so I translated my name into Elvish. Michael's my actual name, and then Melwassel is based on Elvish, Tolkien's Elvish, and then it was manipulated. So it loosely translates in Sindarin to "friend of the wind," because I
Ooh.
wanted to kind of have I was trying to get as close to breath of fresh air as I could,
Mm.
and "friend of the wind" was as close as I could get with that. So it's based on Sindarin Elvish from the Tolkien Legendarium and meaning that. So, and then Michael being my name and D for Dave being his name. That's how that all kinds of ties together.
You guys had shopped around with publishers for this book before you released it, and you ended up going independent publishing. Do you have any regrets going independent publishing? Like, is there anything that you feel like that you may have missed out on, or you think was easier going traditional or going
Mm.
indie publishing?
I think the only thing I missed out on was not publishing sooner. I wish I'd gone indie sooner. Um, we were in our third year publishing, and we broke it even on the first book. and are paying for book 2 with the profits from book 1,
Mm,
which is about all you can want, really. Like, if this is as far as we get, I'm happy with that as long as we're paying for the next book, but I think we're gonna
yeah.
go a lot further. And the only real difference, I think, traditionally speaking, is having more people on my side, but then I would have had less creative control, and I really like the creative control elements. A traditional publisher probably would have had a split book 1, which is something we discussed, but I didn't wanna do that. I liked how it was. I felt like if we split it, we would have ended up with just 2 equally large novels. And so, I don't think the self-promotion would have changed at all. Most traditionally published authors these days are very much having to do the same kind of self-promotion as indie authors. So
Mm,
I think really,
mhm.
if anything, we would have missed out on the community the way we get to engage with them as indie authors.
Yeah, I do see some of the, traditionally published authors, that I know of are still out there, like, constantly posting on social media and
Mhm.
constantly doing promos for their books, so it's really not that much different, than an indie published author, really. Alright, Paragon Exordium takes place in Georgia, in I think I saw so Paragon is a made up city, and
Correct.
but it's kind of loosely based on Statesboro, Georgia?
Yeah, loosely.
So, is it Statesboro because of its geographical location? Because, they do travel
Mhm.
to Macon and then to Atlanta,
Mhm.
or is it because you were just familiar with Statesboro?
A little bit of both. I went to college in Statesboro. I went to high school in Statesboro, so that was kind of the original inspiration. The story is very much I wanted it to be it had to be its own town, unlike Macon and Atlanta, because there's a history to it that's woven into the story. There's elements of it that aren't true, but I like the feel of a college town being the center point of this because it has a very diverse grouping. So that was actually one of the earliest beta reader feedbacks we got on the book was the characters were so diverse it felt like it was forced and like they're like, how do you have such a diverse cast of characters in South Georgia? It's like, have you been to a college town in South Georgia? Like every person in this is loosely based on
Yeah.
someone I've met in this environment. It's a very diverse group of people, and that makes for an interesting worldview and an interesting perspective to tell this story from because you've got all these clashing personalities and backgrounds and histories all coming together in this one place. So loosely based for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, I think that's very, typical of a lot of college towns is you're gonna get a ton of different people and a ton of different personalities. I feel like with the way that you had set Paragon up in the book, I don't know if it was the character that we find out is a dwarven female, if she is the one who founded the city
Mhm.
because, maybe she knew what was coming or she had an
Mhm.
inkling and she wanted to be prepared. Um,
Yes.
so the spell that I guess caused this whole debacle to happen was
Mhm.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the Theron Silu?
The
Theron
Theron
Silu?
Salu.
Theron Salu.
Mhm.
So that was a spell cast a long time ago, right?
Correct.
At that point, humans and all of these, uh, elves and dwarves and fae type of creatures, we all coexisted.
Mhm.
So when this spell was cast, where did they go? So, like, we stayed here,
Yeah.
but where were
Yeah.
they?
Yeah, so that is essentially they were trapped in a pocket universe.
Okay.
So essentially what happened was the Theron Salu and the prologue for book 2 actually is the casting of the Theron Salu, the initial casting of the Theron Salu from Dr. Walker's point of view. So essentially there was a flood coming, and so if you look at culture and history, every major culture across the world has a flood story in their mythology, every single one. So the idea was there was a giant flood that was caused by humanity, and so what humanity did to cause that is sort of up for debate by the characters in the story, but all the fantasy creatures, all the Famia or the Phallic gear, gathered together like, hey, we're just going to remove ourselves from the equation. We're going to step outside of the world into a pocket universe, freeze ourselves in time, and then once the flood is receded, the spell will wear off and we'll come right back. Clearly, that didn't go correctly. And so 10,000 years has passed before the spell breaks instead of breaking 40 days later, and humanity has survived and progressed technology and stuff. And so what went wrong is a major thread of book 2 because it's one person's fault that it went wrong, and that's what book 2 is about, is stopping that person. and their
And
agenda.
is that the person that's kind of talked about right at the very end of book 1?
Yes, Narcidian.
Mm. Okay. Okay. Because you do show a little bit of that ritual at the end of
Mhm.
book 1 and kind of how it goes awry, where it
Yeah.
goes wrong,
Right.
which
And
was
all of
very
that was in
interesting.
our original prologue. So the original prologue was just that world dump that I just gave you. But we ended up going with something that's much more impactful and leaves that bit and that information to be woven into the story and hinted at and explained as the story goes on.
I read that and was like, "Well, now I need book 2. Now I can't wait." So you have a lot of what we would consider mythical creatures
Mhm.
in the books. You've got a vampire character, you've got orcs and ogres and treants and all kinds of stuff. Is there anything that you are gonna be introducing in book 2 that was not in book 1?
Ah, dragons.
Race-wise, like, anything new?
Dragons is the answer. We have so the way the system works is they're Phalangear and Famia, and Phalangear are the original species. And we're doing a special edition with a bunch of epigraphs that dive real deep into this. But essentially, there was elves, dwarves, orcs, and humans are the 4 original races, and those were created back in the Garden of Eden. And there's a whole reason where they come from, what created them, and how they vary. Everything else, the Faemia, are offshoots of that, either created by the Phalangear or created by nature and magic naturally corresponding.
Okay.
So there's literally nothing off the table, but those are the 4 primary races we'll run into. And we have Eowyn in book 1, which are an offshoot of elves. So they sort of are an in-between of those 2 things, and there's reason for that, and that makes things a little more complicated.
Yeah, and when the Eowyn is introduced in book 1, I never thought I'm trying to do this without spoilers. I never thought that it was a figment of Peter's imagination,
Mhm.
but I also couldn't tell whether they were good or bad.
Right.
It's very ambiguous.
Correct.
They're so good.
Thank you.
So good.
That's what we were striving for.
Yeah, I really even at the end of book 1, I still can't
Yeah.
tell.
I don't think she knows.
That actually tracks. That makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jadis has been through it. Jadis is arguably my favorite character. And then her connection to Narcity and all this. I've book 2 is it gets very deep into that. It's very interesting.
Her character was probably one of my favorites. And when you meet her, she has been in this situation that she is in for so long that I don't understand how she's not just crazy.
Who said she's not?
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. I mean, when you're by yourself for that long,
Right.
and I
A
think that
millennia.
yeah, and I think that at one point, she even mentions that there's no color. Like, everything is just
Mhm.
grayscale.
Mhm.
How does she not go crazy? I was like, "This doesn't make any sense to me." I'd be so excited for someone to show up.
Right? Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think she was excited. But I think her life experiences have led her to be cautious with excitement.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of fear in that interaction, and I think that translates. I hope that translates. Is there's a lot of fear on her part that she's very carefully covering up because if
Mhm.
things don't go exactly how she needs them to go, who knows how long it'll be before she has another chance to get out.
Yeah, and I mean and so her appearance is tied to the sword that he carries around, which we learn very early in the book.
Yeah.
So I'm not giving away, like, a huge plot point there. Um,
No.
I would also imagine that her fear is that if he loses the sword,
Hmm.
she's just gonna be alone again
Yeah.
for who knows how long.
Right.
So
Right.
she's trying her hardest to, like, train him and make sure he survives.
Right.
I think she
And
likes
there's no
it.
guarantee that if someone else picks it up, they're going to be as amicable, which isn't a word that I would usually use to describe Peter, but I think in juxtaposition to Jadis, I would say is an appropriate term.
Yeah. Yeah, that fits. I can't think of a better word for that. So the world building in this has actually been really, really good. Like, you did a really
Thank you.
good job of using our kind of present day world and showing what it would be like if something like the shattering actually happened. People don't always get along.
Mhm.
You're gonna have cities like Paragon that are great, and then you're gonna have cities like, I think it was Macon,
Mhm.
that was the first city they went to,
Yep.
where things are not so great. Although Carrie is one of my favorite characters.
I love that you called him Carrie too. That's good. I love when people call him Carrie. That's so funny to me because it's like a throwaway line that Peter has, and I think I reference in book two because I think it's really funny.
Well, his nickname, that's his nickname in the city of Macon.
Right? Yeah.
And so his actual name is just much harder to pronounce, so it's easier to call him
Elberin.
Carrie. It's like Cataracus.
Caraticus Whitaker. Yeah,
Yeah, so it's hard to pronounce.
which is a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang reference for those who pay attention.
Fantastic.
It's a Chitty Chitty Bang Bang Adventures in Odyssey double reference. Which are two
Fantastic.
bizarre pools, if
Yeah,
anyone's listening that knows
yeah.
those.
I don't know many people that are gonna get those references, especially as you
It's okay.
trend more towards, like, the YA side of things.
Right, right. Yeah, no, yeah, showing my age a little on that one.
Speaking of, this book is very YA friendly.
Mhm,
Even as an adult, I absolutely loved it. You have a little hint at some romance, but nothing
mhm.
really outright. Some people kind of dance around it a little bit. And
Yeah,
then you really don't have a lot of foul language. You have
mhm.
the dwarves' preferred curse word,
Right.
um, which is my favorite word now, and I'm going to be using it.
That's awesome. I love that.
Like, I probably will find myself at some point, just being like, "Ah, Krisk."
I'm gonna get pins or buttons or something for that for when we
Yeah,
blow up. That's good.
I would use a pen that just said Krisk on it. So you do in the book, some of the other races speak in their native language.
Mhm,
You've got the greetings that the elves do,
mhm.
the curse words for the dwarves. Did you only come up with the words that you knew you were going to need? Or do you have, like, a whole rule set up for the rules of the languages that you need in case you need to
Uh,
come up with other words?
that is one area where Tolkien has it over me in a high he's got it over me in a lot of areas. No, I can't. Language is not I'm good with English. I'm not great with, like I've tried to invent languages, like, multiple times, but I haven't. I know what all my fantasy words mean, but I don't have strict I have some loose rules. Well, I'll admit I have some loose rules about how and what it looks like, but I don't have, like an alphabet charted out. We're actually working on a Dwarvish alphabet now that I mention it, but I don't have, like, a full-on Tolkien-esque level inheritance cycle level of thing like that. But
Right.
even when we do have those fantasy words and names, we try and have like cultural meaning behind them, like with Krisk being forgotten. So, like for context for the readers, the dwarves say Krisk, which means forget or be forgotten, because in their culture, the worst thing that can happen to something is for it to be forgotten, because their culture revolves around the exchange of information and the gathering of knowledge to the degree of it being a currency to them in many ways. And then the elves have their curse word, which is Lur, which is their god's name backwards.
Mm. Do they use that in book 1?
I believe they use it once or twice.
Okay. See, I don't recall hearing that, but I might have missed it.
It would have likely been brief. I would be surprised if someone doesn't say it in the Nightmare Child chapter, but maybe.
That would be the most appropriate time to say it. I
Yeah.
was reading that while I was in bed, and I was like,
Ah.
"This is kinda creepy. It's a little
Yeah.
scary." It's a little scary there for a second.
I'll give you an exclusive. We have for our special edition we're doing on Kickstarter. One of the stretch goals is an end paper with the Nightmare Child. Of, like, the
Ooh.
scene where, like, they open the door and it's hanging there or sitting there,
Yeah.
from a we got art of I really hope we get that one because it's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, we're gonna be talking about the Kickstarter later because that's exciting. I'm
Excellent.
excited for that. I'm following it, so
Oh, thank you.
everyone else should be following it as well. So you do a lot of TikTok videos, and one of the things that I've noticed is in some of the videos, and when you signed my book, you sign it with, or sometimes you end your videos with, "May you walk under blue skies."
Mhm.
But that is not. I didn't notice that anywhere in the book. Where did that come from?
So they say Lumeni in the book, the elves. That's
Mhm.
the elvish greeting, and it's their greeting and their farewell. I That's always been its meaning. It's just
Oh.
not explained in context in the book. They just say it, and no one asks them what does that directly mean. They just assume it means hi. We do technically explain it in book two because everyone's like, I realized that I had it and I had a meaning for it, but no one else did. So the origin of that is another Tolkien reference with a red sun rises, blood has been spilled this night, which is where Legolas references the sky rising and knowing that there was violence. So that was the inspiration kind of behind "May you walk under blue skies." But the overall concept and idea being when you greet someone, you want to wish them well, and what's a universal sign of goodness usually or things going well is when there's clear blue skies above,
Hmm.
right? And so when you say
Yeah.
goodbye to someone, you're hoping that they're going to have clear blue skies above. And it also is a fun parallel to the imagery used to describe Peter's eyes, which are described as stormy skies frequently.
Mhm. That turn gray when he's angry.
That's right.
Which is it's kind of funny because it they say that, but there aren't clear blue skies overhead anyway
Nope,
right
that's
now.
another part of the
Because
juxtaposition to it. Yeah,
everything
the
is
irony.
everything is shattered and cracked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read the whole book and I was like, "Where is this?" Like, it doesn't play in the book anywhere.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
it's a
just
little
assumed
little
that
sneak in
Any
there.
meant hello also,
Hmm.
like aloha can be hello and
Yeah,
goodbye. I just
right.
kind of assumed that also meant the same thing.
Yeah, and I think I usually include I say, as the elves in my book say, "Lumeni," which means "May you walk under blue skies." That's my usual sign off.
Oh, okay.
But the
Okay.
subtitles never get it right. They think too many loophole. They don't know what's going on, and I don't have time
This
to edit
the
my
subtitles are
captions.
not always great.
No, but they're funnier if you just leave them, in my opinion. So I do.
Sometimes
They
they
also
are a
don't
lot
know
funnier.
Paragon Exordium. They can't get those words through their head. But whatever.
I mean, Paragon's a pretty easy one, you would
Hmm.
think for an AI to get, but yeah, I'm not surprised that it would get Exordium wrong. I'm not surprised by that at all.
That's how I keep the AI at bay. Just nonsense words. They'll never catch up with my vocabulary.
There was one scene in the book where Peter wakes up and he opens his eyes and there's a little mushroom guy,
The Mises. Okay, let's
like,
talk about this.
that
Excellent.
boops him on the nose.
Uh-huh.
Wha Why do we not see more of the mushroom guys? Where are they? What's going on with that? I want more of the mushroom guys.
What's so funny is like they have such a cult following in the Discord. You're like the eighth person who's brought this up to me that there
It's
need to be
probably one of
more.
my favorite scenes in the entire
And
book.
they're called Mises, which is a reference to like mycelium.
Mhm.
But they're like a species. They're called Mises. There are more Mises in book two. Don't worry.
Good.
There's an elf girl who I anticipate being a fan favorite with a mushroom cap hat who carries a bunch of misi around on her and in her outfit, and they come and go, and she uses them to gather things. And she probably doesn't eat them.
Aw. Yeah, that's just I read that was probably it immediately became one of my favorite scenes of the whole
That's
book.
amazing.
So, in this world that you have created, because we have gone for so long without magic, you had
Uh-huh.
mentioned that we've kind of a lot of the disabilities that people have are because our bodies are trying to cope with not having the magic that they should have. So, like for Peter, it was the issue with his legs. For Sarah, it's she no longer needs to wear glasses. So is
It's not just glasses. She mentions early on this. A lot of people miss this. She's a hemophiliac, so her blood sickle cell
oh,
count was off, and so she should be bleeding out very easily.
I did miss that.
It's very brief. She doesn't get into a lot because she's got a lot going on. But she's like, I should be in a lot more trouble for getting beat up initially.
she she takes a real good beating right there at the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
Do you think that the worse the condition the person has, the more magic they're that they would have had if we had
hmm
magic?
That's a prevalent theory within the world. Magic is not definable necessarily. It can vary. Um, it's not set in stone, but most
Mhm.
likely yes.
But
Yeah,
I mean, it
that
kind of
I
makes
mean,
sense if like if our if a disability is the absence of magic, it would
mhm.
kind of make sense that the worse the disability, the more magic
Right,
we
the
should have
more
had.
magic they have. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, because your
absolutely.
body's trying to
The the
compensate that
the
hard.
tricky thing is that's Doctor Walker's understanding of it.
Mhm.
And so, like, our world has like magic systems and magic rules, but in my opinion, magic can have rules, but those rules are simply people trying to put rules on it and rules of use so that there's safety. Like science has certain procedures you follow, but that doesn't answer everything. So there's not necessarily a completely definitive answer. I know that sounds like a cop out, um, but
No, but
that's
it makes
that's
sense.
not what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. And so Dr. Walker, she
hmm
is the kind of doctor for Paragon who has been there
hmm
forever. Um, was the doctor when Peter was a kid, helped raise everyone. But you find out when the shattering happens that she is actually a dwarf. The scene where she gets introduced as the dwarf is pretty cool. It has to do with the basilisk.
Yeah. Another fan favorite character.
The basilisk or
Shadowfang
Dr.
has a
Walker?
fan club. I think Shadowfang is more popular than Doctor Walker,
It was a good
much to
character.
my chagrin.
Yeah, it was a good character. But she has been around for thousands of years.
Yeah, a full millennium.
So what is it about the shattering? Because you find out once the shattering hits, um, that she kind of starts to age again. Do
hmm
we find out later in book 2 why it had such an effect on her?
See if you're paying very close attention, kind of. There this is one of the tricky things about telling a story, is not everything is always gonna get clear answers because there's no spot for the characters just to sit down and be like, "Hey, that character, why did this happen?" And no one really
Right.
understands. So she was an anchor when the Theron Slew was cast, and so she was supposed to basically guide magic back into our world, right? When things went wrong with the spell, and that ties back to Galvorn and Jadis and people related to Jadis. When the spell breaks, the spell has been literally keeping her alive past her natural lifespan. And so there is a final climactic moment that is the final bit of that connection breaking. So when one character enters, that's the last of the tether. And that's another thing where you have to pay very close attention between chapters, because there's a direct reference to things that are happening that are connected, but it's not explicitly stated, but it is there if you're looking.
Yeah, I did notice that in book 1
hmm
when a specific character enters the world. Uh, she unfortunately has a bad time.
Yeah.
Dr. Walker, this is not having a great time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes sense because of earlier in the book when when she is part of the Theron Saloon
hmm
and that whole thing goes wrong. That other character is there. And so Sarah is this whole time when they're in Atlanta trying to take Atlanta back from the orcs. Uh Sarah is back in Paragon trying to continue to train herself. She's using Dr. Walker's journal because Dr. Walker was kind of her mentor and was teaching her how to use the magic that she realized that she had. It's getting real rough for her
Yeah.
in Paragon. You
Yeah.
you got that typical, like, Southern Bible Belt,
Yep.
people think she's a witch and is
Yep.
communing with the devil kinda thing going on. That's gonna get rough. I don't like where that's going.
Excellent. Excellent. Book 2 is Paragon Attrition, and let me just say it has earned the title Attrition.
Her and Steve are gonna have to leave. They're just gonna have to go. Like, when you
Right.
get to the point where people are actively trying to ruin the defenses of the city
Mhm.
by spray painting over runes,
Right.
uh, I they I mean, I'm assuming it's people from Macon. They had a bad experience with the person from Macon
Yep.
who was using magic, so I can't really blame them
Right.
to an extent, but, like,
Sure.
they've
It
seen
makes
that
sense
she's
where they're
not the
coming from.
same. They've seen
Yep.
she's not the same. I'm also not a huge fan of Mara. I do not like Mara.
We always get there. We always get there. Yep. No one does.
She is the most conniving, like,
Yep.
I had a brief moment, and I still don't know if this is true or not, but I had a brief moment
Mhm.
in Macon where I felt like the leader in Macon was Joshua?
Jason.
Jason.
Mhm.
I felt like she was the one pulling the strings behind Jason, and
Mhm.
I had a brief moment where I was like, "I don't think that's Jason's magic. I think that's her magic."
Mm.
I was like, "I think
Interesting.
Jason's just like an unwitting, like, stooge for her."
Yeah.
And now she's coming into Paragon and she's, I feel like, pulling the same stuff.
Yeah.
You're like,
Interesting.
"I'm not gonna confirm or
I
deny any of
cannot
this."
say a word. Listen, Mara has a hate club. I don't think anyone likes any of my characters as much as people hate Mara.
Except for the mushroom guy.
Except for the Myces, yeah. Yeah, no, Mara is a character in and of yeah, she's fun. I enjoy writing Mara.
Sometimes can almost seem like it's just the end of everything because they do have that moment. I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent here, but they do have that moment where they're headed towards Macon and they stop at the diner and they notice that they don't see people. Like, you would assume that there would just be dead bodies and there'd be bones everywhere and, you're going through cities, like, where are all the people? But you don't see any of that, which I think makes it a little bit lighter
Mm,
than if there were just dead bodies everywhere. That'd be very,
interesting.
very dark. But, you haven't written a book where all of the characters are safe. You don't lose a
Mhm.
ton of people.
Right.
I can really only think of 3 in the book that die, but when they do, it's very impactful,
Right.
and it's not just like, "Oh, well, that person's dead. Okay."
Right.
Like, they're all very impactful.
Yeah, well, I have a saying, there's only one character in the series with plot armor.
Potch.
Hotch, the dog. Ya boy.
He's a good
Hotch.
boy. Yeah.
'Cause I can't hurt him, because if I do, my wife will hurt me.
I feel like that's true in a lot of books. Like, if any character is going to be safe, it's gonna be the
Yeah.
animal
Yeah.
because 'cause we're just so overly protective
Right.
of animals.
It's a level of innocence that people associate with pets.
Yeah. Yeah, like, we'd have to protect them. They're the only ones that are safe. And I'm
It's
perfectly
also
okay with that.
yeah, I mean, yeah, it just depends on the story, you know? I'm fine with it because I'd like there to be a degree of magic to the world in the storytelling, and I like there to be a degree of whimsy and stuff, and just being able to say, like, "Hey, look, the dog's fine." Because that's also for a lot of people, that's a line too far, which is so interesting to me from a psychological perspective, is like, "Hey, you can kill 18 different human characters, but if you harm one animal, I'm not reading the book." which is like, okay, you got your own priorities, and I get it, but it's an interesting dichotomy. It's also a great marketing tactic to be like, hey, there's a dog in it. He's okay.
Right? I mean, I read a story where a room full of goblin kids gets brutally murdered.
Ah,
Don't murder the pet.
don't murder the
Don't
pet.
murder the animal. Room full
Don't
of
cross
goblin
that
kids,
line.
totally okay.
Right, yeah.
So you've got book 2 is coming out at some point. How many books do you think are going to be in the series?
Ah, lovely question. The Galvorn Saga will have 3 official main, books in the series.
And so you've got your collection of short stories as well.
Mhm.
I know that you have said that you would be open to other authors writing stories in your world that take place
Mhm.
in other countries, other cities,
Yeah.
things like that. Do you think that there are ever any authors that you may reach out to and be like, hey, do you want to write a story in my world? Or do you think that it's one of those things where you'll just wait to see if an author wants to and approaches you?
Um, I mean, I've already extended a sort of vague offer to 1 or 2 people who are fans, that are very invested. So yes, it would be the answer to that. There's a balancing act with that, and, like, our ultimate goal is franchising. So, like, the Galvorn Saga is 3 books, and we have a follow-up series that would take place later that we wanna write. And then there's, like, I would like to do a short story collection with multiple authors in this world. I think that'd be really fun to explore, which was the
That
original
would be
idea with
fun.
Apocrypha. It just didn't work out with timing. Um, and we wanna do at least 3 Apocryphas. We wanna do an Apocrypha between each major book, just because that's a fun thing to explore, and we really liked writing the short fiction. So yeah, it's Exordium, Attrition, Absolution, and then Apocrypha Volume 1 is out. Apocrypha Volume 2 is still in the drafting phase, and then Dave's working on Paragon Odyssey, which is his own offshoot.
And that's the kind of horror one.
That is a Southern Gothic horror novella, inspired by the Odyssey,
That would be fun
which is going to follow Rory and his crew who leave Paragon and what happened to them.
because they don't come back,
They do not come back.
but you don't find out what happens to them. So that'll be interesting. That would be a good
Yeah,
one to read too. I,
yeah.
I like the kind of offshoots of the people who have left and kind of branch out on their own. When is book 2 going to be out?
Theoretically, May 30th, but I anticipate it will be sometime in June.
Okay.
It is drafted. We just have our final rounds of edits with our editor Megan G. Musgrove. And so it's just I know that's going to take a lot of time. So I don't. She gets it. She says she can have it done, but I anticipate it maybe taking a little longer. It will be this year. It was supposed to be last year, but life kicked Dave and I in the shins. 18 different ways to Sunday.
Yeah.
Um,
I know how that feels.
so yeah, so it'll be this year. It will hopefully be June at the latest. We're hoping for May. May, June, yeah, we're hoping for May. The
Is it going to
audiobook will be
be
longer.
as long as the first book?
No,
Is it going to be longer?
no, it's shorter. It's 31,000 words shorter currently.
I mean,
Um,
that's still a pretty hefty book.
it is. Yeah, no, I mean it's still a 200,000 word book, with almost as many chapters, and we have an entire extra POV added to the story.
For a new character or an existing character?
A new character and we actually
Ooh.
have we get a Jenny arc in book
Okay.
2, which
Okay.
I think people are really gonna like. I really like Jenny's arc and her POV chapters. And what I highly anticipate our most popular character for book 2 will be Akko the orc.
Yeah, we haven't really seen much of the orcs outside
Nope.
of like fighting and combat.
Yep.
Um, the only one that I've really seen that stood out was the Weeping King,
Hmm.
who cries to use his magic, which is weird.
Yeah.
Why does it? I don't remember the book saying why.
Mm. Okay. Yeah. So the orcish system. So orcs didn't get magic when everyone else did. They stole it. And so their connection to magic is more fragile and not based in the original source. So their magic. So each group has a castology, right? So dwarves use runes, humans use speech, elves use song for the castologies, and then Eoin whisper. Um, so orcs use just emotion, which all of them use emotion, but the orcs just use emotion. So the predominant emotion they use when casting is anger,
That's
right?
what I
Because
would
when you're going to
assume.
do violence, that's their
Yeah.
predominant thing. The Weeping King is very clever. And so he figured out at an early age that if he's crying, people aren't expecting him to do magic in an orcish culture.
Sneaky.
Yeah.
Very sneaky. There was a cult that is
Mm.
mentioned that the orcs were a part of that were
The
trying
disciples of
to
Awan.
yeah, they were trying to bring back the big bad character.
Yes.
And now the Weeping King, I think, was not. I think they thought that at one point he was part of that cult, but he's not part of that cult.
Correct. He is a former member. He left.
I was going to say, when Jadis comes out, he did not seem very happy to see her. So that was interesting.
Akko is a member of the disciples of Awan.
Oh, so
And
he
I'm
okay.
gonna sell everyone on Akko with one brief description. She is a Tennessee muscle mommy orc.
Sold.
Yup. Who is
I
dealing
don't
with
know
religious
anyone who wouldn't
trauma.
be.
She's got a Tennessee accent. She's huge, muscle bound, and dealing with religious trauma.
I don't know anyone who wouldn't be sold on that.
She's going to be my most popular character in book 2, no matter what I do. It doesn't matter what I do with any other characters. She's going to be the one.
Do you know where you want the trilogy to end? Like, do
Oh,
you
yeah.
have like the whole thing is planned out?
Yeah.
So you're more of a planner.
I've sown the seeds for sequel series in book 1. Yeah, I don't have it like chapter by chapter charted out, but I have the important major moments that we have to hit that have been set up and foreshadowed and laid out and set in motion. Every story evolves that has good characters. I think every story that has well-written characters and characters that are fleshed out has to evolve on its own. That didn't really happen to the degree in book 1 that has happened in book 2, where there's a character in book 2 who does a thing that completely derailed what we had planned. And like everything still is going to get to where it needs to go, but it changed the course because it was like, okay, here's the situation. What does this character do? Well, they're just going to go take care of it. There's no other option for this character. Like, there's no reason they wouldn't just go in there and do the thing. So they go in there and they try to do the thing, and that changes the course of their entire journey to the end of this story. So there are elements of it that are flexible, but there are hard points, or like a Doctor Who analogy would be like there's fixed points.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that you kind of let the characters like not write their own story because it still has to fit within the parameters of what you want to happen. But I like that you let them become enough of their own character where you're like, okay, well, didn't make sense for them to do this because that's not what they would do.
Right.
That's not their personality. So now they're going to have to do this and we're going to have to write around this. I really like that you do that because it makes the characters a lot more real and why I hate some of them so much. So this world that you've created, it would make a great TTRPG. Like, it would be a fantastic setting for a group of people to just drop into and play in.
Right.
Is that something you guys have thought about?
There are 6 episodes of a TTRPG DM'd by me set in this world somewhere on the internet.
Really?
Yeah, I've got character art and all. I didn't continue with that. I didn't have time. But they're out there somewhere if anyone ever finds them. I'm not gonna give them away to anyone. Yeah, we've even got an author friend of mine made like a TTRPG like character sheet that's like S&W themed.
That's really cool.
That's really fun. That's with like the digital art pack on our Kickstarter. I'm gonna send that to people too. That's an eventual goal for sure, for sure. That's absolutely something we want to do because and that's something we've looked into because Dave and I are huge TTRPG people. I've
Mhm.
DM'd for like 15 years. There's references to my campaigns. There's a character, there's the elf that gets eaten. He's a reference to a character from one of my early campaigns. That gets eaten by the vampire child. So yeah, no, but like on that subject, we are working on a board game. Um,
Ooh.
Paragon Apocalypse, which is going to be it's not a TTRPG, it's like a survival themed board game that we're doing playtests and stuff. Like the box with it is actually under my computer right now. That's something we want to do and release eventually. It's a lot of fun.
So is that like
It's
a
mhm.
co-op survival game?
Yeah, it's a
I like
co-op
that.
survival game. Technically 1 to 6 players is what we're currently building towards. It's got influences from like Settlers of Catan and Betrayal at the House on the Hill if you've played those. So the whole goal is to make your settlement, your Paragon, self-sustaining. And you do that by upgrading buildings, collecting survivors, collecting equipment, and stuff like that. So there's a lot of character overlap and stuff. And it's really extra fun if you've read the book because you can have moments like, oh, hey, Sarah's going out in the woods to fight giant grasshoppers with a machine gun, and she's backed up by Hotch with a spear, right? And you get, or like Breaky just had a heavy machine, like Breaky's out there with a heavy machine gun, and General Murray fighting a band of orcs. Like it's non-canon exploration of insanity,
I love that.
but it's all
So,
collaborative and stuff like that.
do you think that you guys will be doing a Kickstarter for that?
Oh yes.
Oh,
So
I can't wait.
that is why we're doing the special editions,
Okay.
to get our
Okay.
toes in, to get familiar with Kickstarter because that's the ultimate goal is to do a
Yeah.
board game Kickstarter.
So, let's talk about that Kickstarter.
Sure.
You guys have a Kickstarter coming up. It's not
Yeah.
when does the Kickstarter launch?
March 28th.
Okay. So this episode will air before the Kickstarter launches. So that's perfect.
Hooray.
So what is this Kickstarter? So you're doing special editions of the
Mhm.
first book?
The first book. Yep.
So what are they going to be like? Like
So we're
hardcover?
doing a number like new cover. It's gonna have a dust jacket. That's gonna have holographic foil
Ooh.
on the front. And then when you take it off, it's gonna be blue foil for the underside. And so like the dust jacket's gonna have a Galvorn. It's got a new cover. You can see all that. You go there. But when you take the dust jacket off, underneath the sword is Jadis. So it's this
Ooh.
cool, like you take it off and Jadis is there waiting beneath the sword, which is just a fun little nod to the readers. We're doing a new map. So we're building a better map. We're adding epigraphs, which get into like all kinds of deep lore, like the origin of species and some fun snow and S&W stuff that are going to be added to every chapter. We're adding chapter headers. We're going to do really pretty end papers. Just a whole mess. We're throwing in the original prologue with some like writer commentary, so you can read what we initially had with some like, hey, this is no longer canon. Here's an author's note and stuff. We're adding a glossary with a character dictionary and language dictionary, which breaks down all the fantasy words and all the fantasy characters and all the character names and all
Nice.
that. And I've gone in and I've spent like a week on that, not just giving details on the characters, but adding little fun anecdotes about them too. So it's very rewarding for people familiar with the series because there's all these kind of little nods and references to things woven into it. Um,
That is so cool.
and then we have an add-on, which is these little Galvorn enamel pins.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So for the dust jacket, is that going to be the same artist who did uh the original book one?
Nope. It's a part of the book 2 art. But it is so we got Polina Gipp did the book 2 art. We didn't go with Serena Malon for book 2 because she's incredibly expensive. She did a great job,
Right.
but she's
She did a good
very
job.
pricey. And so all things considered, we're like, we can save costs a little bit here. But the new artist we got is phenomenal. I think she matches the style really well. The book 2 cover has been revealed. It's out there. And so the special edition is based on part of that. It's the Shattered Sky. Is what it is with some additives. So that was a combination of her artwork, Cara Blaine, who is another author who is helping like us get the Kickstarter rolling, and me collaborating with Galvorn on it. It's a sketch of Galvorn that was done by Whitney Lanier, who's a friend of mine from high school, and just a culmination of different artists and stuff to kind of create that. And then the undercover for that, which is Jadis, is by Yorzi Hernandez, who's like my favorite character artist, who I've been working with for a long time.
Nice. Do you think that you'll do Kickstarters for each of the 3 books in the series?
Yeah, we're gonna do a special edition for each of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm a
I've already
sucker
got
for a
some
special
plans.
edition.
Yeah, yeah. And if we hit like the first stretch goal, we're also going to do the end paper at the front is going to be Shadowfang,
Ooh.
my Planet Gip, who is going to do a phenomenal job on that. But the end paper at the back is going to be the Yolmir, or the Nightmare Child. So we'll have the first encounter and the last encounter bookending it.
Tie it all in, yeah.
Can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
I like to ask everyone a couple of questions. First being, who are your top 3 characters?
Top 3 characters would be, in no particular order, Carrie,
Excellent.
Sarah,
Dave's going to be so mad.
and I want to say the Misi, but I will go with Dr. Walker.
The Misi, okay. Excellent.
But I will go with Dr. Walker.
Excellent. Carrie is Dave's character beyond more than any other character. He's like based on Dave. So
Nice.
He's going to be so upset he missed the podcast where Carrie was in the top 3.
Well, you know.
Okay.
It
Excellent.
happens.
What are your top 3 favorite moments?
Peter waking up with the Misi.
Excellent.
That's top favorite moment. That is number 1. I think probably the moment when Sarah, I mean, she doesn't realize that she has magic, but she uses magic for the first time. When she
Let there be light.
Yeah, she says like spark or fire or something, and
she says light, and the flame tasted the powder, and it was good. Sorry, it's one of my favorite lines I've ever written.
That's one of my favorites.
Okay.
And what would be my third? That's tough. I don't know. Those are really the only 2 that stand out immediately.
Nice. Misi's and light. What a juxtaposition. That's so fun. Okay. And then what are you hoping to see or theorizing for book 2?
I am theorizing that Mara is going to be one of the big bad characters.
Okay.
She's going to be like the main antagonist for Paragon. I think that Jadis is going to be bad.
Okay.
But I'm on the fence. I don't know. I might be wrong.
Okay.
I'm very on the fence on that one. But
excellent.
I don't know. And I think, well, I hope, I have no idea if you'll do this or not, but I know you said you're introducing dragons. I hope that they're good. I hope that they're good characters and not antagonists.
Okay. Good dragons.
Or that there are some good dragons if some of them are bad. Because, like in D&D, you've got the different colors of dragons. Some of them are lean more towards good. I hope at least that some of the dragons are good.
Cool. Excellent. Good picks. Good picks. Any fantasy creatures you really want to see in the world?
More Mises.
More Mises. Got it. Well, congratulations. There are more Mises.
That was like literally like by far my favorite scene in the entirety. But I mean, like, it's not even a close contest by how much I liked that one more than any of the other ones. I have one question that I ask everyone to wrap up an episode. If you had stats or abilities, like a D&D character would, what would be your main stat or ability?
Like, do I get to choose, or am I like objectively?
Either or. It can be one that you wish were your main, or one that you think adequately fits.
I mean, it's the same answer, I think.
Wow.
And I think it would be the most useful in our current society. That's charisma. I'm going maxing out my charisma stat.
Okay. I could see it. You're very charismatic.
Yeah, I try.
You do good on TikTok. Your videos are funny. Like,
well, thank you.
So, where can people find you online?
Yeah, Mikel Melwasul is my username for everything. Sometimes there's a D in it, sometimes there's not. Melwasul.com is our website. where you can get signed copies of our book now through our website instead of Etsy, because we made our own website.
Fantastic.
You can get our books everywhere books are sold. The audiobook for Exordium is only available through Audible because of how royalty shares and stuff work. But the audiobook for Apocrypha, when that releases within the next 2 months, hopefully, will be on IAX, which is this new indie author platform that Atlas Creed is working on. That is going to give authors royalties of like 80 to 70% for their audiobooks as opposed to Audible, which gives you like 20. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, his book is on my TBR as well.
Armitage.
Yeah. Yeah, I see him all over my TikTok. So that is everything that I had for you today. Thank you for sticking around with me. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I loved your book. I'm going to link to all of your socials and website and everything so everyone knows where to find you. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed today's conversation and you want more, you can check out my Patreon, where I have the unedited episodes. You can get an early heads up on who my guests are going to be, and you can have the ability to submit questions for me to ask during the interview, where you can get a shout out during the interview as well. I also send out a monthly newsletter of upcoming releases at the beginning of every month, and everyone will have a chance to win a free book from the authors that I have on. You can find that at patreon.com/IOWpod. I will link to that, and I will also link to my own socials. Thank you, Jennifer, for being my editor, and keep leveling up.
May you walk under blue skies.